So the first question I usually ask is if you can tell us a little bit about you and just help us.
Okay, so I guess 7 years ago, if you'd asked me, would I ever be a business owner, I would have said, absolutely not. You've got to be mad. It's not for me. My background, I'm a former PE teacher from South London, loved doing that, could see myself retiring, doing that, gifted at it. But around maybe 10 to 14 years ago, I started to hear about human trafficking, and particularly sex trafficking of women and children. And it really gripped my heartstrings. It gripped my heartstrings. I gave money. I volunteered a little bit with a local organisation educating in schools. And the niggle just kind of got bigger and bigger and bigger. So eventually I quit teaching, sold my house, and kind of had a complete life change and looked at how I could get involved in the anti-trafficking industry. So fast forward a few years, I got a part-time paid job trying to launch a charity in South London around trafficking, but part-time in London, right? So my salary had been cut by about 2/3. I'd got nowhere to live because I'd sold my house. And it occurred to me through a series of conversations with somebody that maybe I could do a bit of cleaning on the side. So I've always been a bit geeky like that. I love a good clean. It decobwebs things in my mind and my soul. And that's pretty much how it's begun. So I was the first cleaner number one in Just Helpers. It was always supposed to be a side hustle while I grew this charity, and then eventually grew my coaching career in netball at school. But this thing was just like a beast. It just kept growing and growing. And I think because I applied my principles of teaching and professionalism to cleaning, I was just always a bit of a surprise and an anomaly when I would rock up at someone's house and say, yeah, I'm your cleaner. So my reputation grew quite quickly, and I got to the point where I was turning away work within about 2 months. And because I wasn't commercial back then, because, business was not my thing on my horizon, I was comfortable with that until my current clients started to say, what about my sister? What about my aunt? What about my neighbour? And so really pulling on my heartstrings. So I eventually found someone to work with me, and that was the beginning of a series of dilemmas for me. When you've got someone working side by side, it really doesn't make sense that they should get less money than you. So I had to go through a whole sort of thought process about, well, how do I remunerate this person? Surely it's got to be the same. We're doing the same job, the same work, the same sweat. And so that's what happened with cleaner number two, and we call them helpers actually, until we were turning down business, and this individual said, well, I could do with some more work. Why don't I take on the ones that you can't fit in? And then eventually they left to go back home. London wasn't working for them. And then I was left with this portfolio of clients.
Too much work.
No longer service. Yeah. And so I had to recruit in a hurry. And we've just grown from there, really. So with helper number 3 and 4, they just kept saying the way you work is completely different to the rest of the industry. And of course, I had no idea. I didn't do any marketing. I didn't do any market research. I had no idea about the cleaning business apart from this is how I do it, and everyone gets paid the same. So I was naturally paying above the London living wage at that point considerably. And eventually the charity and the school stuff got so huge that I had to make a decision, like something has to go. And over time, the other 2 fell away, and the cleaning business kind of rose to the top. And again, mainly because of the relationships that I forged with the women, understanding their families, their responsibilities and commitments, and just realizing that I had a commitment to invest into their lives and to make sure that whatever we were doing kind of ethically chimed with my values, but also enabling them to survive and thrive in London.
That's brilliant. It's refreshing to hear someone going on an organic journey and not necessarily creating the ethics in the business, but using your personal values to then guide the decisions that you make. It's really refreshing to hear.
Looking back, I don't know if I would do it in that way all over again. I'd probably do a lot more market research. I would have set my pricing much more sensibly back then. But we're here, we've survived. And, now with all that learning, 7 years worth of learning, we've got a really interesting and exciting future ahead of us.
Brilliant. That's really exciting. I had to look at your website, and you say you make the world a better place one clean at a time. So I just wanted to know what brought you to that and what you do to make the world a better place. I know you do lots of stuff, but it's good for everyone else to hear.
So I think the first one is a quality clean, delivering a quality clean. We're passionate about that. One of our mantras is, how would you clean your own home? How would you care for your own home? Then care for somebody else's. I often say, and I've got a faith background, so I live my whole life as if God can see everything I do, even in the shadows. And so I say to people, you need to clean as if even when no one is watching you, you need to clean as if the whole world is watching you. So excellence is one of the first things, and we're quite rigorous when we recruit in terms of finding those excellent helpers, in terms of attitude, kindness, kind of going that extra mile, creativeness, making people's house a home. All of those things are qualities that we interview for as we go along. So there's excellence for the client, and I think that has a knock-on effect. When you come home to a clean house and all you've got to do is relax into that space and kind of do and be what you've been created to do and be, again, I think that makes the world a better place. You're released to do you, we're released to do us, and that just knocks on exponentially. In terms of my colleagues, I kind of go to sleep securely at night knowing that we're one of the highest paying agencies in the industry. We know that, and London living wage is our base rate. So for zone 1 we'll have a different rate. For bigger cleans, oven cleans, we have other rates. We celebrate the achievements of the people in our agency. So every month we'll have a helper of the month and they get a cash prize. We have a big awards ceremony every year, and all of that feeds back into a happy team, which means that they're happy to get up and go to work and give their all to their clients. So it's kind of all of that, and contributing to the economy, making sure that we are being fair and just in all that we do. So all of those things, I think, have waves moving outwards. But our big dream, Mitchell, if I can share that, our big dream, my big dream, is to change the landscape of the cleaning industry, like to completely transform it. I still haven't figured out how, but I know what. We need law changes around the gig economy that protects both the helper or the worker and the agent and the end consumer. And I don't think we're there yet as a country. We're trying to dispose of the gig economy without looking at what's good and precious in it. But we can't do it at the expense of individuals. So I want to work with employment law professionals to really nail that down and figure out what's the best fit for all of this. I also think that tax laws need to change. There's so much cash in hand work that happens in our industry, and part of that is really intrinsically linked to the tax bracket that we sit in. I'm really, for ages I've been saying, why are we paying 20% VAT when we're a low margin industry? And really interesting that on the back of COVID, the government have suddenly said, for X industries, temporarily they can sit in a 5% bracket. Why can't that happen all the time? I actually think we'd see more money in the coffers if we were allowed to sit in brackets like that, or if more economic thinking went around low margin industries. So yes, on a small scale, making it better for the client, better for the helper, but on a grand scale, I think making it better for the economy as well. That's how we're trying to make the world better, one clean at a time.
Nice. No, it's great, and it's great that you've got those big goals, but then also on a day-to-day basis you are making the lives of obviously your clients and the helpers better. So that's brilliant, and thanks for sharing the big dream, because I'm sure a lot of people in the gig economy are worried about a lot of the changes that are happening, and I think there definitely needs to be a conversation around some of the points you just made. 100%.
Absolutely. Yes, if there's anyone out there that wants to have a conversation, I really up for that. If you've got expertise in that, come and knock on my door.
Brilliant. So you've mentioned in the early days you're obviously busy doing lots of cleaning. What does your day look like now? What does the average day look like for the founder of Just Helpers?
Yeah, so we're in interesting times. We're post-COVID, and that's changed my role considerably. In that time, we've lost 3 of our management team for various reasons, some of which were, a lack of a cultural alignment. But currently I feel like I'm a jack of all trades and a master of none. So I'm right back into the business, into the operational side, which is good because it's helping me understand again what's happening on the ground, where have we perhaps shifted from who we should be. But beyond COVID, my typical day usually involves training and mentoring our management team, who are amazing, networking with other business owners, and trying to find other people that align with who we are and forging relationships in that way. Researching new products in the market is one of my big passions, so I love a good product test. And again, just helping us to sort of remain cutting edge in terms of what's out there in eco-friendly brands, again, for the longevity of the health of our colleagues. And I'm not going to lie, it's been a 7-year grind. And so one of my aims as we move into next year is to step back from the business, take a bit of a sabbatical and start dreaming again. Because as I said, there's big things that we want to do. There's new products that I want to birth, and I just need a bit of headspace to help that all move forwards.
That's amazing. I think sometimes you do need to take that time out, don't you, to have that creative space to think. And as a business owner myself, I know the challenges of always thinking about it, always waking up in the middle of the night and having great ideas.
The bank account, 2 a.m. in the morning.
Exactly that. So no, I think sabbatical, I might do the same. So you've spoken briefly there about eco-friendly products and obviously testing them. Is sustainability a big driver for you, and is that something that you think your clients are considering more? Or
Yes, I mean, I think what we're seeing is that the clients that align ethically with us are on that same journey as us in terms of sustainability in all areas of their life. So, as I said, we currently only test eco-friendly products. That's all that we're interested in. We would always have a recommended list of cleaning products for clients, and we have to. We have high street non-eco-friendly brands, but our primary list is around all of the products that we have tested. And again, it is to do with the health of our colleagues ingesting all of those chemicals day after day, about the longevity of our planet as well. I understand quite starkly that we are decades to a centenary away of kind of near disaster, and I don't think the world fully understands how critical we are at the moment. One of my dreams is to create our own product, which is basically called Just Add Water or something like that. You just strip it right back to what our kind of great grandparents were doing in terms of getting their spaces clean. So yes, it is important to our clients. It's definitely part of who we are as well, but space and time to think it through and to help it get moving. I think that we've got a big education piece and a responsibility for that as a cleaning agency, to help people understand the wider impact of not being eco-friendly in all that they think and do. We've got some amazing clients that are literally, out of the fruit bags, the mesh fruit bags that you get, repurposing those to be scourers. So I see all sorts of creative people as I go out and do sales trips with different clients. So I'm learning things all the time, and it's about what can we do to kind of help educate the masses in that term, in those terms as well.
Brilliant, that's great, thank you. And what advice would you have to other business owners that are thinking about perhaps incorporating ethics and sustainability into their brand purpose? What advice have you got for those?
We often read at some point as we get into our 40s and 50s that we have an aha moment where we realize that all the money in the world is not going to buy you happiness. Profit margins are important for the health and sustainability of your team, of your dreams, and and of the wider impact that you can make when you've got wealth. That's brilliant. But there is something about your soul being at peace and at rest day after day, night after night. And for me, I sleep well and I sleep deeply at night. With all the lessons that I've learned, I understand that it is absolutely possible to be profitable and ethical, but the two are not incongruent at all. A bit of thinking, but Also, with people that are looking to buy into ethical and sustainable brands, you get a different caliber of person who's part of your family, part of your purchasing family, part of your work family. And there's a loyalty that seems to run strong and deep with people that buy from you if you align with their ethics. So it's a completely commercial model, a profitable model, I would say. But in terms of a heart model, I think that it's a really brilliant way to be and exist. I have no problem with meeting anyone in my business and looking them in the eye, because I absolutely know I am doing the best for each one of us at every point in every day.
That's amazing. I've not heard it put so eloquently before, so thank you. It's the fact that you've obviously summarised the fact that it's commercially viable. It's great for the loyalty of customers, but then also the heart element. I think you've combined both brain and heart in perfect sentence. So thank you. So the last couple of questions that I've got are just around a bit of a random one. What book recommendations you've got, and also what's next for you and Just Help Us after COVID.
Great. So let me start with what's next, and I'll segue into what I'm reading. So we're currently recruiting a general manager, which is really exciting for me. It's kind of the first senior person beyond me that will be in the agency. So we're imminently going through that. And trying to learn how to recruit for culture as opposed to just skill and experience. So that's interesting. We're hoping to launch our first franchise within the next 12 months, potentially in Brighton or Birmingham or Manchester. So we're looking out for kindred spirits in that sphere. We're building a tech platform, so an end-to-end business management system for us primarily, and then to sell to other cleaning agencies, because we've understood that for small to medium-sized enterprises, there's a pain point in all of that. So looking for investors for that. So those are the next things. So quite a lot. You can see why I need a sabbatical, right?
Definitely.
And in terms of a book that I'm reading, in fact, it's so delightful that I actually don't want to end it. I'm reading a book called British, so Brit and then in brackets Ish, by a woman called Afua Hirsch. And she's been researching this for years, but it's timely with the whole Black Lives Matters movement. And it's just her experience and observations about being Black and middle class in Britain, which really chimes with my experience. And so I'm just having so many aha moments. Every page that I turn, I'm finishing her sentences. I'm like, oh my goodness, yes, that's why. So British, I can't recommend it highly enough for Black and white people, actually. If you want to understand about the experience of friends and colleagues and family members, I couldn't recommend it enough. So that's British by Afua Hirsch.
Brilliant. I'm going to add that to my list, actually. You'll be reading it again. It sounds like you won't want to put it down.
Yeah, it's hard.
Brilliant. Well, thanks for your time. It's been really helpful. Just before we go, just be good for you to share where people can find you and Just Help Us online.
Yeah, brilliant. We're across most platforms. So starting with our website, justhelpus.co.uk. There's lots about us on there. We've got a Facebook profile, so just find us at Just Help Us. We're at Just Help Us 1 on Twitter. We've got an Instagram and even an Instagram ITV profile or whatever it is. We've got a YouTube channel, and we're on LinkedIn. So personally with me, Antoinette Daniel, and with the business as well, Just Help Us. Love to see you. Pop by, say hello, come and use us. You will not go back.
That's amazing. Thanks so much.
Really lovely to talk to you, Mitchell, and to see you after so long. Take care.
That's amazing. Thank you too.